Hey guys, welcome back to the channel. I have a really fun build for you guys today. We are going to go through this sort of spa getaway that I built in Sulani. It has a waterfall, it has 3 overnight stay rooms, a nice bar, some massage areas, a hot springs, and even a dining room downstairs. So I started on this Admiral's wreckage lot, bulldozed the whole thing, and started with a pool. And this is not a waterfront lot, so we have a lot more flexibility. This is a debug item from Discovery University, and then I'm just using some rocks to sort of create a base for my waterfall. And when you're in live mode, this waterfall does flow and run. I lowered it into the pool so you can't see the final base level of the waterfall, and it looks like it's just flowing right into the water. And we're gonna make this pool look like a natural pool as I start using rocks and change the wall patterns and the floor tiles. I wanted to use rocks that were similar in color, so I used rocks from the Island Living pack specifically, and just using the round pool to create sort of a more natural organic shape. Sometimes it's just trial and error for me to find the right rocks for the shape, and sometimes it's better to just give it a rest and come back to things later. And here I'm just repeating the same rock almost in a tile so that we just have, a larger, more nuanced shape for what I need. And so now that I have my waterfall feature in, I started working around that to build in my living space. And I wanted a large deck here. I imagine a lot of outside living going on within this build, and multi-tiered decks with lots of space still for, some gardens and some lush green spaces. And then here I started working on my overnight stay rooms, and I would have loved to have all of this be a little bit more organic, a little bit more curvy, but we know that, that's just not really a possibility within The Sims, and that's fine. I think sometimes working with, the tools that you have is the best way. And I decided to make these pretty angular, pretty modern and clean. And choosing windows and doors that went along with that was really important. So nice clean lines, while still maintaining sort of that rustic detail. And I realized how large my room was and that it did not need to be that big once I put the bed in. I always do that. I always overbuild. And then once I start putting furniture in, realize that I can really shrink that space down. And then I knew I wanted there to be some really luxurious treatment spaces that were very open air and luxe and breezy, full of dark woods and white draping sort of sheer curtains and fabrics. And I love these spandrels. They are from the Snowy Escape Pack, but the colors never seem to work for me, and I chose this time to do a different color spandrel from my beams going up and down, and I actually really love how it turned out, and I think that's opened up a whole new sort of, I don't know, whole new world for me. And these drapes are from the Island Living Pack. I was kind of deciding if I wanted them inside or outside, and I chose inside. I did realize in that moment that you couldn't even see them from the outside, which felt important to me, although I still wanted the back to be nice and open so that we have that really nice view of the ocean, while still maintaining that privacy on either side. And it also helps with gameplay too. So here we have our double treatment rooms, and I wanted there to be this, is it a cornice? I don't think it is, but this kind of like roof decor, and I think what happened here was really beautiful, the combination of that spandrel and the, we'll call it a cornice. And so this is my bar area. I had originally envisioned this being a juice bar, very like health conscious club. But we ended up with a normal bar, and that's one of my favorite tricks, to put the columns and the spandrel right at the edges of my bar. I think it just really closes it in and makes a lovely space. I chose these bamboo. I think they're from the Spa Day package. They were very clean, kind of modern, like a very manicured, curated take that I think works really well with my square angles throughout this build. So moving back and giving more attention to our overnight stays, I began to furnish and decorate this room. These items are the White Lily collection from the For Rent pack, and I really love them. There's a lot of painting and really beautiful woods. It's got like a very White Lotus vibe. And I wanted these to be very minimal and more just, you know, hotel rooms rather than apartments or efficiencies. I love this hot spring. It is from the Snowy Escape Pack from the Onsen Bathhouse. And just a nice little sort of dumping place for robes and towels and all that good stuff. And again, I think using those columns with either a spandrel or what we're calling a cornice, which I think is an internal piece, not external, I think really just elevates it from a wall and makes it look intentional. And I kind of jumped ahead because I made a few weird choices that I didn't want to bore you with, but creating a little bit of a space around my hot springs to contain it a little bit more. extending that lava rock terrain paint from my natural pool into this hot spring. I apologize for these crazy camera angles. And I decided here I wanted to move my bar platform so that I could put my overnight stay rooms off to the far left of the lot. And these other little rooms that I have here are bathrooms, going to be bathrooms. And I wanted those to be closer to the hot springs. And so we are just sort of working on arranging those. And I ended up actually really liking the sort of gap in between here because it allowed me to create a wall of outdoor showers, which felt really fitting for the hot springs. And even in the description it says it's customary to shower before using and to make sure that you have that space for your Sims to shower first. And I don't know if that's really necessarily true, but I like making things as realistic as I can in these builds. And so this is our bathroom slash locker room. And just something very simple and functional while still being, you know, beautiful and elegant. I did add a third treatment room here, primarily just to even out the space. Kind of 3 overnight stays, 3 treatment rooms. It just felt very balanced and the same width as my bar there too. And then I began realizing that I wanted this to be a getaway at this point in my build and that I would need a dining area. So I considered using a food cart, but that did not feel elevated in the way that the rest of this build did. So I moved into the basement and I thought that this would be a great opportunity to do a open wall, you know, like with the glass wall panel treatment, and have a really beautiful underwater dining experience. And I did choose these linen covered tables, which I never use in any of my builds, but I wanted this to be a very, again, luxurious, elevated, 5-star sort of dining experience. And again, I chose these chairs from the White Lily collection, so keeping that consistent. And then I thought that it'd be really fun to have, you know, this aquarium wall behind our dining as our separation wall from this back hallway to the dining area. And I went through and I did add some rocks and coral from Island Living, and I didn't bore you with that. I don't know that it was that effective, to be honest, but I wanted it to feel a bit more tropical. I did have clear walls on that as well, and then ended up changing it to half walls. And I also realized that these coral pieces from Island Living likely wouldn't be thriving at the base of a waterfall surrounded by lava rocks, but that's one of those liberties I took because I thought that it looked really cool and beautiful. And I did choose to put some of this lava spill rock on the bottom of my pool just to make it look even a little bit more natural. And as I was building this, I was kind of envisioning bathroom areas that I had seen, honestly, in movies. I don't know that I've ever been to a restaurant that has a little sort of reception area for the bathroom. Maybe someday, maybe not. But I was imagining sort of restaurants from Sex and the City or things that I had seen in Mad Men, you know, from the 1960s, just really beautiful New York City restaurants. So this is sort of a nice little reception to the bathroom area. And again, I'm just sort of shrinking down there my space. I always overshoot, and my areas are always very spacious to the point where they feel kind of hollow. So just tightening that up and making it a little more cozy. And I considered more of a commercial looking kitchen down here, especially as we have kind of like this very elevated dining experience. But with our getaways, I wanted it to also be homey and comfortable and feel, you know, that you could cook meals in here, family style. So I do have definitely a chef's kitchen, but, you know, a family style kitchen nonetheless. And I always forget that these countertops exist. I love them, these cabinets and counters. When you go into the catalog, they're completely white, and I think I always end up overlooking them, but they're actually really versatile and really, I don't know, I guess just like standard. They actually are very similar to the cabinets I have in my real house. Same countertops, same cabinet shape. I think they're shaker style is what they are called. And here I knew that I wanted there to be yoga as an activity, so I wanted to make a space for that here. I did only put 3 yoga mats in for now. I could always change that if, you know, in my gameplay I decided I wanted more. And 6 massage tables felt like a little bit of overkill, so I created one treatment room to be a pedicure room, and was gonna maybe put meditation in the following, but for now I just put another massage table in there. You'll see in a moment, but I might change that later. Or if you download this from the gallery, you can have that treatment room be for whatever your heart desires. And we have some lovely meditation and yoga by the waterfall. And that is our build, guys. So here's our underground dining room, our lovely kitchen, and then my horrible panning skills across our lovely aquarium wall, and then our beautiful running waterfall, our yoga stage with our bar. I realized that the ceilings or the roofs were not up, but that's okay. And our lovely hot springs area. So that is our build, you guys, and thanks for joining. The channel is Gallery Gremlin. Go ahead, subscribe if you feel so compelled, and I will see you guys next week for another build. Thanks for watching.